everyone. Welcome back to Adobe Live. My name is Melody. I am your host, and I'm back with day 2 with Julian Crespo.
Hello.
Yay. I'm so glad to have you back for day 2.
It's good to be back.
Yesterday was awesome.
Yeah.
We learned a lot about accessibility, and today I'm really excited to see what you're going to show us. I already saw like a little sneak peek. It looks really cool.
Yes, I've been, like I said, diligent about like pushing the design. I actually forgot my charger in this studio yesterday.
Oh,
so I meant to like have like a very productive evening of designing for you, but I got here early and
that's good.
pushed some things
Yay.
through. So
Nice.
so today I'm going to continue about talking about like the responsive resize, and then maybe like show how that can affect animations.
Oh, okay.
Maybe some auto animate stuff.
That'll be really fun.
So yeah, I'm looking forward to showing you what we're doing.
Yay, awesome. A big hello to everyone who is joining us in the chat. Hello, Tim, Noor, Anna. Hi, Howard Pinsky, yay. Julia, welcome back, and Damien, and Katere. It's so awesome to have you all here joining us. And for everyone that is watching and in the chat, we are doing another Chat and Win giveaway in about 30 minutes. So you'll have a chance to win 100 custom stickers from Sticker Mule. And all you have to do to be entered is to be active in the chat, ask us some design questions, accessibility questions, or just say hi, let us know where you're watching from, and you'll be entered to win. And then today we are going to be doing portfolio reviews towards the end of our stream. I'm super excited about that. So if you have some UI UX design projects on your Behance portfolio, feel free to submit that. If you're watching on Behance, there should be a portfolio submissions tab, and you can share it there. Yay! Hello, Joanna, Brano, Rajlal, Richard, Ryan, Eric. Yay! Oh, Julia.
Yeah, we have.
Don't forget the plugin list.
Really quickly.
It's coming along. We will share.
I do have, and actually we'll show you some more plugins as well.
Yay! I'm excited
because there is a plugin for like everything almost, and it's growing rapidly. So I'll just show you the ones I use, and that's not even like the ones that I've seen people use, because there's so many to choose from, and it just depends on what you're using it for.
Yeah, exactly.
But I'll have a list for you in a sec.
Yay! Nice. Yay! It's so awesome to have you all here. Are you making the list?
I am making the list because remember I left my computer and I was.
Oh yeah, that's right.
It died on me. But I will show you some of these plugins as well.
Yay, nice. Hello, Breno from Brazil. Awesome. Hi, Michiel. Thanks for joining us again. Let me show you guys Discord really fast if you haven't joined. This is where we are reviewing designs from the current XD Daily Creative Challenge, which Sam Anderson was just streaming right before us. And this challenge is almost over, but we are still excited to see everyone's designs, and they've all been so amazing. So if you haven't joined our Discord, you can join by going to bit.ly/XD Discord, and I think, yay, thanks. So it's bit.ly/XD Discord. Come join us. We have a really awesome community and people giving each other feedback. We have great mentors, and it's just a really awesome and fun time. And yeah, you guys should all join. I think last time I checked, we had 11,000 plus members. So that's super exciting, and I hope it keeps growing to more members.
Yeah.
Yay.
I'm actually logging into Discord.
Oh,
so
yay.
That way I could share my list.
Oh, awesome. Okay.
That should
Maybe you can share it like after the stream on Discord.
Okay, let's do that.
Yes. So everyone, watch out for Julian's post on Discord. Yeah.
Cool.
That'll be a good way to share it, I think.
Yeah,
and then you can just, everyone will have
and
the
I
list.
will, I will also show you, and you can kind of see when I open up my XD file. Oh, there it is. Yeah, you could see like these are some of them, but like I also have some of these just to like look at some patterns, and how some, because since I am building a plugin for XD, I needed some context to see like how do some of these plugins operate and what's their mechanics, because some of the mechanics can get kind of tricky, because like you're operating a app in like a environment that has its own environment already, so it's has a lot of rules, but they're all very, very like uniquely different in the way they operate. Yeah. So let's kind of just catch you up on what I've been where we left off from yesterday. So like I kind of showed you like how I would think about approaching a landing page, and this isn't like a prescriptive thing. Like there's no one way of doing a landing page. I think the essential components are still like some of these elements, but you can vary it the way that you see fit to your product. And just to kind of show you like the evolution of where we started, and this is like some of the early like just really quick rapid stuff that we were throwing around, and like it didn't really feel very good. and like it's not my best work, but at the same time, like it is about like just doing things fast. Like I didn't start with wireframes, so these are kind of like a wireframe thing. And like when you're exploring, don't feel limited by mistakes, and just like you know, if it's something new you're trying, just push it and see what happens. Like what's the worst that's gonna happen? It's like, yeah, a little bit of time, but that time is also just like familiarity with the tool, and just like also like just your creative style and like finding your style.
Yeah. And
so,
it'll still help you like grow as a designer. And
of course.
It's like practice as well. So
you have to practice, even if it's like these daily challenges that Sam was doing. It's just a way for you to keep sharp.
Yeah.
It's like these design tools, as much as I like to think they're like riding a bike, like it's not, because they evolve.
Yeah.
And like they have new functions, and if you aren't like polishing your knowledge of them and your skill, then you can kind of lose out a little bit.
Yeah.
So the more you use them, the better you'll be. I don't think that's a secret. It's just sometimes you don't know what to do, and sometimes you just need to get creative challenges, right? So this was where we left off, and I was kind of like playing around with some like logo ideas, but like at the same time, like I'm not going to pay attention too much to a logo, but like you know, something like this, like negative space, is kind of cool. Like it could look like an A, you know.
Oh my God! Yeah. Sorry, I just saw that.
Something like that.
That's cool.
I will continue to push the logo possibly, but even something like this is something simple that could work. But what I do want to show you is. I showed some examples of designs that I thought were kind of cool, like as far as like how to approach it, but they all look very different. And so what I wanted to show you now, if you just peruse my artboard and give me a second here to show you, is this is like when you're approaching a design, like maybe you want to talk about like the intention and the feeling, because a lot of times that will inform your design and it give you a personality and not make it seem very not so generic. So it's like just well thought through. And this is what I typically do. I kind of glossed over it for yesterday, but I do want to show you how this could work. So the feeling, like it's colorful, it's vibrant, it's fresh, it's youthful, and the intention is to change the face of accessible design, because there could be a connotation between accessibility and design and kind of like a very pragmatic and very stark look, because like you think of like big buttons and like just bigger text, which is very good, and I think accessible designs usually should incorporate some sort of bigger typeface that's not too thin, but it's also going to inform like what your direction of your product might be. So like with that in mind, I selected like a youthful, even though it's more classic, a typeface that has like a lot more of this like modern way of like presenting a website with a serif, because serifs are you know, they go through phases. There's tons of them out there, and using Adobe fonts is a good way to like bring in some of these new fonts. So like Avenir and Open Sans, things that are very easy to read. And then creating your like a little design color palette. That way you can, you know, make sure you're sticking to a system, so you're not just like adding different shades and
too much
many
color.
colors. Color's great. I don't really use it too much in my design, so I wanted to challenge myself to do something here. And then like your components. I don't have too many components for this one. It's just a field and a button. But you know, you want to make sure that you're doing your components so that you can use them easily. So let me show you the first. Like this is kind of a riff on this first attempt. I wasn't really happy with where it was going, but I think I did initially have it just like that, without the background, the Gaussian blur. But I think it kind of like makes it more legible, and if you were to kind of like push more of like some animation in the background. I think these like these kind of globule
morph,
things can kind of be doing things. But like when I was making it, like I didn't have like an intention of like what is that, what is the correlation between that and accessible design? There might not be none, right? And that's okay for an exploration, but just like in hindsight thinking about it, like I don't know if those globules really represent accessible design, but at the same time, like I still think it's a good exploration to like try out, you know, just try some things out.
Exactly.
So if you're interested in seeing like how this can animate, I could also do that too.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Yeah.
Damien has a question. They're asking, how many types of fonts would you say are more than enough on a website?
Yeah, and I think not only types of fonts, but sizes of the fonts. So like you can have a font and have you know, it be replicated in different sizes, but I try not to exceed 3 fonts. And like that's even pushing it sometimes. Like I like to stick to 2 to 3 fonts and don't vary on the weights too much. Try to stick to, because then it just kind of looks like it's like just off. Like you can't really put your finger on what it is, but something doesn't look right if you just have like a bunch of different variations on font weights and font sizes. Also goes for like icons. So if you're ever using icons in your work, you know, making sure that your icons have the same weight.
Yeah, like all throughout the app or
You want to do that, right? So that way you have some cohesive language to the way you're treating your lines. It's intention, right? But yeah, any other questions about like font use? Like I don't have like a favorite font I like to use, but I like to use fonts that are legible. So like and font families is for me like I do like finding like pairings like on my own that I think look well, but look good together. But like I don't always do like find a pack and kind of stick to the pack. Like it's sometimes like maybe it's my problems with authority. I don't know, but I don't like to follow that like prescription. But it's still fun to explore what's in the family. You know? But yeah, great question.
There's another question. When it comes to choosing between a bright color or a dull color for an enterprise brand, what would you consider?
Ooh, enterprise is very, very cool because you can be playful with enterprise because it is such a like it's such a formula that has been around for so long, and it seems like dull. I would say even for like if you look at a company like Zendesk, right? Like they kind of have this like they're an inspiration because they are a very like dull product. Like it's very analytical and very in the background. It's like you really don't know you're using a Zendesk product, but they are very forward facing with their brand.
Yeah, I like their branding a lot.
It's great, and I think they use a serif font, and it works really well. And especially when you're on that level, you can like afford to like design your own typeface, and they do a great job with that. But great question, because that could be hard working with like either e-commerce or fintech. There's a lot of really good fintech design out there now because they're understanding that their customer base isn't just their like the classic idea of an older user, right? It's like we're kind of like getting modernized now. But yeah, great questions. So as far as what I'm showing you here, let's kind of give you a sense at what I was thinking. So when I'm designing, also just keep in mind 1440 is the size of the artboard I like to use, 1440 by 900. It's for me a way to confine your container, and if you are gonna see it on a bigger screen, you can still like have the boundaries expand,
and then everything stays like
and maybe these graphics will respond to that size, but like the text size will stay in the middle because we don't want it to stretch out. But like responsive resize can do that too. So this is the concept that I kind of pushed a little bit more, and we don't want it to be too long. And there's some things that I like. It seems a little like dry in the middle, but at the same time, I think when I add these icons or when I add these little illustrations, which I will do with you, it'll probably bring it back to life a little bit more. So I'll see what happens when that's complete. And And I also like writing copy is time consuming in itself. And so like when you are writing copy for your site, if you have to do that, and if you are bootstrap, a lot of times you have to, because it's hiring a copywriter just for a contract is kind of expensive, and you are conveying this message. So like I was really thoughtful of the way I was structuring this sentence, even though it's only a few lines long. So you have to convey what it is about your product or your brand that's important. And then like a simple form field, I might look at the shadow. I'm not sure if I like the shadow, but like it's a very simple site, right? Like landing pages are supposed to be pretty straightforward. So that was the concept that I came up with for this emotion and the attention. And I can also show you like how it could look like if we were to animate some of those like blobs.
Yeah.
That'd be kind of cool.
That would be cool.
And then the other one I was thinking of was a concept that was more pragmatic, utilitarian, and simple, minimal. You a lot of times want to do more and push the boundaries. That way you can think a bit of like how can we like step outside of that same mental model of what our site was like and just change it up.
Yeah.
So being pragmatic is a lot of times just like black and white, right? But maybe add a splash of color in there. So I use like very like classic fonts that you'd see, right? Like Futura and Helvetica are very just established fonts, and they're awesome. They look great. Cartier loves them.
Yay.
By the way,
Big fan.
I love your name.
Yeah, cool name.
Just both of those names.
Yeah.
So like you do want to throw in a splash of color. It's just all black and white.
Yeah.
Is a little jarring.
Yeah. Color makes it like pop and
just a,
like, draws your eye to
it
something.
does.
Yeah.
You have to like anchor your eyes somewhere, right? And so that was using the same logo, just very simple. And if you're not sure, I'll show you again if you weren't here for yesterday, how to create like a really simple shape. If you aren't familiar, so I just take that and then it's in object path, convert to path. Command 8 as a shortcut, and then once it's in there, then you can go in with your selector tool and just kind of like change things up. So if you wanted to like modify your font a little bit, if you don't like something, like maybe the kerning is off, so like that's connected right there. You can get more creative and select some items and then just like shift it over.
Yeah,
so
that was a really cool tip that you showed us yesterday.
Yeah, and it's something that like I think we all know how to do, maybe like Illustrator, but it's not.
You can also do an XD too,
You can
which is
do
really
an XD.
cool.
and that's for me the great thing about designing an XD is it does have a lot of that same feel of what I was used to, because I started designing in Illustrator, and it was really hard for me to switch over into like other design tools. And then like not have some of those shortcuts that I'm used to. So now that I'm back in XD, it seems a lot more familiar.
Hey, that's good.
Yeah. So this was like, and apologies for not pushing this more like I said I would, but it is still coming along as a minimal exploration. And you can do, I would say usually do like 3 looks, and that could give you like a sense of like, all right, I have one very polarized look to the other, and then maybe there's a middle ground between both of these, and that's something that I should push also myself and think about like what's another way, kind of thinking about like this look to be like that kind of feel of like it's in the middle, it's not quite minimal, it's not quite too colorful, but finding that voice is important. So that was my spiel on what I was thinking about for pushing these 2 concepts. I do love like still I found an inspiration yesterday that came out of the blue in the Slack channel here, and I have to show this to you because it was like the coolest thing I've seen in a long time. Go to poolside.fm.
Oh,
yeah.
Yeah, this site is so cool.
It is like the coolest thing because it's like I am a very nostalgic guy.
Yeah.
And for me, like just seeing these like retro designs are just like really cool. And you can like, do new cool things with like the Instagram
That's so
feed.
cool.
And I just really love the music. It's really engaging. Complete tangent, but like this, I feel like would be a really cool style
Yeah.
to like try to
It
emulate.
would.
And it's not like they're not the first ones to do that. There's other websites that
Yeah.
do stuff like this, but like they have a really engaging way. Like have you seen Beat
It's like
Street?
really fun.
That was
Yeah.
Beat Street. That was amazing. That was like one of my favorite movies growing up. So that was just like something, a complete tangent, but like always keep your eyes open for things that intrigue you.
Yeah.
Because there's so much inspiration out there in the world. Okay, so we're gonna get into the design. Let's just do some these icons here, or these little explainers. I showed an example of my a landing page that I designed for a project before, and it had elements of like a simple interaction of what is creating a landmark in tab order annotations. And so I have like some drawings here that I've created, but I want to just bring them to life into this form. And a way that I like to design, and this is like just like how my brain works, is like I need a visual representation to give me ground my ideas. And so I'm just gonna take a photo of that and share it, because this is how I work, right? Like it's
So you sketch first in your notebook, and then you like take a picture, bring it into XD, and then like work side by side.
yeah.
Nice.
So it's waiting, but it's sending.
Nice.
There it goes. So AirDrop is amazing.
I love AirDrop.
And that's for me, that's the only reason why like I really just the ecosystem of these tools. It just makes it easy.
Yeah.
But I could have texted it to myself. It's not too different. But yeah, so I get the file from my downloads and just drop it in. And for me, like that is oh, it's so big. Look at that. So like that is just like an easy way. So like we whiteboard a lot in design sprints, and so to like really guide you when your design process, like to just drop those assets in. It's a really cool thing, because it's an artboard. That's what it's for. So these are the ideas. So feature 1, feature 2, feature 3, landmark and tab order annotation. And if you're not familiar with that is, I will go into it while I'm designing. But basically, it's a way for you to have a tab order that you're able to go through a web page for. And my tool that I'm building is giving designers the tools to set that order, that intention for developers to make. Because if you go to any website, like especially I think the popular ones are websites that are like e-commerce. They have a lot of content on them, and their users aren't always people that have abilities of sight. Like they have different abilities to use these sites, and they still need products. And how can you find them if you can't use a mouse?
Yeah.
So the idea of creating alternative ways of navigation is really important, and that's what tab order and setting tab order and landmarks are. So landmarks are the bigger sections on a page. So think of like if the metaphor of like travel. If you're traveling somewhere, I'll use repeat grid. These are the tools.
Oh yeah.
So if you're traveling somewhere, you have like stops along the way that you take. And so those bigger stops along the way are your landmarks, and the smaller steps are your tab orders. So nested within landmarks are tab orders.
Nice.
And so if you didn't know like that aspect of like of UX design, one of the things that we do is we create tab orders, and that's just a simple way for us to tell developers how this tool should be, this new design should be navigated. And just it's so important, but it's something that is really hard to translate, because some of the ways of communicating them are a little different and a little difficult depending on the company and the ecosystem that they're a part of. So that's why what I'm making here at Adobe is we're saying it's democratizing accessibility design, because we're giving these tools to everybody, so that way they know how to actually design accessibly. Which is a very, very, just an important thing to do.
Yeah, I feel like we really need that in design.
I agree.
Tanya has a question. Where do you go to find inspiration besides the regular places? Like, how did you find that pool page?
Oh, well, see, like, I think a lot of it is just like you're being curious. As designers, we are kind of curious by nature, and it's a matter of like remembering to like just always keep an eye out for some of these patterns that you see. And so poolside.fm was just something I saw on a Slack channel.
Yeah, I saw it on Twitter. Like a lot of people, I follow a lot of designers on Twitter, and I recommend if you guys have Twitter to do that. And people post like things that they're inspired by all the time, and then I get inspired by that. And a lot of people were talking about that website, so I was like, oh, what's this? And then it was like super cool.
It's super fun. And so, this is another little cool trick that I love is if you are like you find a style that you like. So I'm just gonna get this to it like a rounded, kind of like wireframing kind of look, and I copy it, Command C, and if I want to apply it to like these, without like doing design system stuff, I just do Option Command Paste, and then all of those items can adopt those attributes. Just a shortcut for you folks that like are interested in like doing this kind of stuff, because a lot of times like we forget, and we also know that like if we just do it to the parent of this, then then they all adopt it. They cascade, right?
That's cool.
Because what this essentially is if we look back at this, it's like an abstraction of a concept that I was thinking of, and it's just like a cool little like you without presenting the whole UI, which I don't have yet. It's still being designed. It's still a way to just kind of connect the message of what you're making with like just a simple illustration. And I don't like sell myself or try to be like an illustrator, but it is something that I enjoy doing. I just sometimes don't get all the time to do it. You know,
it can be time consuming.
It can. And then like the conception phase, that's why drawing and just doing simple ideas on page is the quickest way, because like, and it might be different for you, right?
Yeah.
We all have different ways of interacting with the tools we have, because my first technology of being able to output my ideas was pens and papers, right? Like that is a technology. Even if we don't agree, we can agree to disagree. Okay, so this is kind of coming along. I'm actually not hating it, which is good.
Yay, that's good.
Yeah. And then we're gonna add, like I mentioned yesterday, that we're gonna add some gradients. And there was a question about like where do I find my inspiration from? I am just constantly looking whenever I am very like of the mind of finding like metaphors in life and just every day. So like if I'm like driving on the bridge and I see like a cool billboard, I'm like
I always
blink your
notice
eyes, like capture that.
Yeah. I always notice like things, even if you like aren't expecting to like look for inspirations, like they'll just like come at you.
They will.
Like I was at a thrift store and I love looking at the book section, and some like book covers are like so cool, so I take pictures of them. Like I love these colors, and then I like save it on my phone. So you can find like inspirations like anywhere.
It is like, it's cliche, right? That inspiration is everywhere.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of like what it is you're doing at the moment. Because if you're in like a design like kind of like phase of iterating, like you're constantly thinking about it, and you as much as you try to turn it off, it is really hard to keep turning it off and keep turning it back on. And so it's just like gonna happen. Like it just consumes you. I was dreaming about my design in my sleep last night.
Really? That's funny. Cool. Well, it is Chat and Win time. Yay, it's time to win some stickers. If you haven't said anything in the chat yet, now is your chance to do so, to be able to win 100 free custom stickers from Sticker Mule. So say hi, let us know where you're watching from, and we will be right back. Yay, we're back. Yes.
Hello. Okay. we're back, and we're almost at the sticker point. No?
Yes, we are
We're
about to
looking-
choose a winner to get some stickers.
Chat.
Chat. Yay, we have Alejandro from Peru. That's so cool. Wisconsin.
Oh, Wisconsin.
Nice. Poland, Brazil, America. Nice. We are in San Francisco, Luxembourg, Orlando.
Yeah, they're coming from
Austria.
everywhere right now. How
Wow.
like. I'm just amazed
Greece?
at how many people are watching.
Me too.
And it's just like I was like yesterday was my first time ever doing something like this, and I was just like going through like some of the comments that people were saying. It was just
Yeah.
like so like just very sweet and very like
Yeah.
very like encouraging. Especially Sam when he was just
Yeah.
yelling at us from the other room.
Shout out to Sam. And yay, we have our winner, Gemma Waylet. Congratulations.
Yeah.
Yay. You're going to be getting 100 custom stickers for free from Sticker
Bourbon
Mule.
County.
And you will get a message on Behance with more information about
Yeah.
that. Congratulations. And then for everyone that did not win, you can still head over to this link, stickermule.com/Adobe Live 19, and you can get 10 stickers for only $1.
Yeah, the exotic Midwest.
Oh, nice.
I lived in Chicago for a while, so
Oh, cool.
sometimes it feels exotic.
Yay, I've never been to Chicago or the Midwest, but I'm actually going next month to visit my cousin.
In Chicago?
Yeah, he just moved there
Oh,
for school.
I'll give you a list of places.
Oh, yeah, you should.
Hopefully, like after I give you the list of plugins.
Yeah.
But
After
it'll-
this one.
Yeah, Chicago is a very. That's where Sam's from. Is from Chicago.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Yeah, and so like, it's a very clean city. You'll appreciate it.
Nice.
It's very clean.
Cleaner than
Yes.
San Francisco.
A lot cleaner than San Francisco.
That's good.
Yeah. So yeah, just kind of back to this. It's coming along, I think, as far as like abstractions of the design that I was making. And you know, sometimes what you could do is like you can even like take this and like send it to the background, and
Ooh.
yeah,
Nice.
yeah, and you can like you could freak it out and like do like group it and then like maybe set the opacity a little lower. Oh, that wasn't supposed to be a part of that group. Yeah, but like we all know how to trace, so I think. But doing it over your own work is so much more satisfying.
Oh, nice.
So you can kind of like see like where you're going. That way, like you're not veering too far off from your intended path. And so like I'm just gonna keep going along. But yeah, it's something that like the inspiration. Looking for inspiration. I showed briefly. I'm using 4-point rounded corners just like as a general rule of thumb for all of these. Just to so you know, like I would recommend like keeping that same style like across everything you make in these little like icons or whatever. But so yeah, back to like inspiration. I showed design inspiration, but you know, Behance is a beautiful place to explore because like as you build your portfolio, you just kind of like it's a point of pride, and I think. For good reason. There's a lot of really good work on Behance.
I agree.
Right? What other tools do you use?
Like for inspiration? I don't know. Usually it's either like Twitter
Twitter.
and then sometimes Instagram. I feel like Instagram, it's not as like active with like the design community.
Yeah.
I feel, but on Twitter it's more like current.
That's interesting. Because I guess I would maybe disagree a little because it also like depending on like who you follow
Exactly,
is very
yeah.
gonna change the style.
Yeah.
But like I follow a few on people on Instagram that like just really either post like great animation or like just have like a good visual sense, but like sometimes it's instructional. So like it's just a matter of like the channel you follow because
Yeah.
people say like they hate Twitter. It's like, well, you probably
Don't follow.
don't follow
Yeah,
the right
exactly.
people.
Yeah.
So it's really dependent on who you
Yeah.
follow.
Also, like YouTube is like a great way to get inspiration
Yep.
for me, and like watching Adobe live
Yeah,
streams.
I definitely do YouTube for like how to learn new things.
Yeah,
and
same.
like I don't know how I would have made it to this age without YouTube teaching me stuff.
Me too.
Like I told you this story about like a playlist on pomegranates, and
Yeah.
one of the reasons is like I loved pomegranates as a kid. It's something that I remember my grandma opening up for me. But like I never learned how to open a pomegranate on my own, and then like not until YouTube. And
I
then now
don't know how to open a pomegranate.
if you Google or YouTube how to open a pomegranate, you will be
I'm gonna
amazed
do
at
that.
how many different ways there are.
Really?
Yeah, it's not trivial. It's like it's got so many different methods.
That's really interesting.
It is.
Hi, Sam. Sam Anderson's in the chat joining us.
Sam likes pomegranates, right, Sam?
Yay. There was a question a little further up on the chat, but I think Julia was asking if you had any UI UX design book recommendations.
Oh, yeah, I think the classic is like Design for Everyday Things by Don Norman,
Yeah,
right?
that's a good
And I think that's good because it also like tells you like don't just look for in digital spaces for design.
Yeah, like look all around,
Look
like
all
physical.
around, because digital is just a metaphor of physical, right?
Yeah.
And we know that by like skeuomorphic design, and that was like the original way that like Apple was like had their mental model of like how they were going to design apps, right? But like there's also like the idea of like what like affordances are and like signifiers of objects, like you know how to use something just by like the way it looks, and that's kind of like the same way web pages are. I'm drawing a blank right now, to be frank. Maybe I could share a list with you.
Yeah, you should share a list.
I'll do that on Discord with my with my plugin list.
Yay.
Yeah, because there are quite a few of them, and some of them are like more like instructional than others, but some are just like more theoretical.
Yeah.
I'm really like a fan of the theories stuff because it could teach you a lot.
Oh yeah, Damien's mentioning "Don't Make Me Think" by Steve Krug. That's also a good book that I would recommend.
That's a great one too.
And then another one that I'm reading right now that I really like is called 100 Things Every Designer Needs to Know About People.
Oh.
And that one's a really good book if you're interested in like the psychology behind like design. I find it like very, very fascinating.
That's why you love UX.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, exactly.
It's like a way to be a behavioral psychologist without actually like being a behavioral psychologist.
Exactly.
No, I and that's for me, like that was my biggest draw to design as well, is to be able to like really have an impact on the way that you can interact with the world by creating tools, and but with it, right, it comes like Spider-Man, great responsibility.
Yeah.
It's true, because like you can make something that is engaging, but it's a fine line between addiction, right?
Yeah.
And so like building products that are engaging and fulfilling, but not like...
But like still like ethical?
Yes, and not intrusive.
Yeah.
And I feel like for me, that is like the biggest like opportunity for designers, especially new designers, is just like being mindful of the unintended consequences of your design.
Yeah.
Whether it's the product or the design itself, but you're able to then really like have a bigger impact on society, and really, you know, if you watch Silicon Valley, like, you know, change the world.
I haven't seen that show,
well,
but I should, because
you will eventually. It's timeless. But yeah, it's really one of the ways to really have an impact, and that's why for me, like being able to be here at Adobe building an accessibility plugin for XD is very special.
Yeah. Nice. There's also a book called Hooked by Nir Eyal.
Yes.
Have you read it?
Oh my goodness.
It's really good. It's about like how to build like habit-forming products and like the addiction and what makes an app like super addicting. It's a good read if you're interested in that.
I highly like. And then there's Nudge.
I haven't heard of that one.
So it's by the same author.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I believe so. And it's also plays into the idea of like behavioral psychology, and like a lot of it is based around like animation and like how, yes, we have skeuomorphic design looking, like you can look skeuomorphic, but then you can also behave like skeuomorphism, and that's kind of like where we're feeling haptics these days, and like if you like have animations where you tap something and it like opens like a drawer or unfolds like a scroll, it's no longer a scroll, but it's still like scroll behavior. And those are like, if you're interested in Look, Sam is just dropping gems.
Don't design manipulatively. # unethical.
Yeah, don't do it. It's easy to get caught into like into that, and you can always approach a problem with the best intentions, but maybe sometimes you kind of fall victim to like either being inspired by the wrong things or just kind of like not looking outside of your own perspective, and that's the biggest benefit of being just mindful of like your perspective and others, and knowing that there's a lot of variance out there, and that's what makes us people, to have so many different variations on what we expect from the world. That was deep. Sorry.
That was very deep, but I really liked it.
Yeah.
I appreciate it.
Did not mean to get that deep on you guys. But yeah, so I'm still like kind of just plugging away here. I like to say that when I'm working on my plugin, just because it's
That's a good pun.
stupid. But also, it's kind of strange working in silence. I'm typically
because you said you like to listen to music.
I have to.
And you like your Spotify playlists and everything.
I have to listen to music. I get super distracted when I don't have my music.
Yeah.
And because I like talking. If you haven't noticed.
No, I haven't. No, I'm just kidding. I have.
Yeah. And not just like just hear myself speak, but like I just also just like chatting with people.
Yeah.
And sometimes like if someone comes up to me and just like wants to chat, I'm like, I have no self-control. I will talk to you for 2 hours.
That's good though.
It is and it's not, right?
Maybe not for 2 hours, but.
Yeah, sometimes you got to get work done.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's really hard to limit distractions sometimes. And that's why these layers are somehow.
Sam says you forgot your headphones the other day and it was traumatic.
Yes, it was very, and he knows because like we sit. He actually sits right next to me, and I always have a backup pair of headphones in case I forget my good headphones, and I didn't have them, and I was just not a productive person that day. It was just not working. So I'm gonna grip these.
For everyone that's watching us, let us know what you all like to listen to while you design, or do you like to design in silence? I remember one time someone said they like to listen to podcasts while they design. And for me personally, I can't do that.
That is very ambitious.
I'm impressed by anyone that can do that.
I would probably not, because I just want to like pay attention to that. But yeah, that's very ambitious. Yeah. I don't know if I could do that.
I can't even like listen to a podcast and like go on my phone and read something. I can't do both. I have to like I can listen to music and like read stuff
either
on my
or,
phone.
right?
Yeah, but if I'm listening to a podcast, I'm either like driving or like not doing anything, like cleaning or something where my mind is just like on what the podcast is about.
Do you drive to? You don't drive to
No, I
here.
take the train.
You take the train, right? Yeah, because that's for me. Like I had this idea of like what does like me time mean these days? Like depending on the person, like sometimes your me time is just like your commute.
Yeah.
Like is your morning commute is it relaxing enough though? Like if you're sitting on the Bay Bridge.
For me, it's relaxing when I take the Caltrain and there's like a row on the second level where it's like single seats. So when I get those seats, if I'm lucky, that's like when I'm relaxed. But if I'm sitting and there's like a bunch of people around me or there's no seats and I have to stand, then it's not very relaxing because I have a kind of a long commute, but it's okay.
That's the same thing with me. Like I do want to say that like I would love to like just put my headphones in and ignore the world while I'm on public transit, but like I don't trust public transit enough to do that. Yeah. But I'm on a different public transit.
Yeah, yours is.
Yeah, there's different.
I agree with the one that you take.
So that's like if you're on BART, like you don't want to just put both of your headphones in.
You have to be aware of your surroundings on BART a lot more than Caltrain. Howard says, that's when you say screw it and purchase AirPods from the tech center. # been there. That's funny.
Yes. Yeah, I will. I think that's something that I strive to do is just be able to drop money on headphones. One day. once my plugin goes live.
Yeah.
But yeah, I that's why I hit up Sam, because I Sam's always prepared. He's always prepared. I mean, he went to space.
Sam?
Yeah. This is his. Did he tell you about his senior thesis?
I don't think so.
Yeah, he designed a space station.
I feel like maybe, I don't know. I don't remember if you told me that.
It's Sam. You need to somehow show people
I want
this
to know
project.
about it.
Yeah, it was an amazing experience, actually.
Nice. Julia says they listen to everything from hip hop to instrumental piano. Nice.
Yeah, so hip hop is my go-to music, and it's just. But I can't listen to it when I'm working sometimes, because I just want to listen to the lyrics, and so
that's tough.
Yeah, I have to usually listen to like some like ambient music. So like I have a playlist on my Spotify that is 4 hours of just ambient music.
Nice.
But like it's also like I've been curating it for years, so it's not just basic stuff. Like it's stuff like some of my favorite music. So if you're interested, go.
Yeah, everyone check out Julian's Spotify.
It'll get better if I have more followers, maybe.
Ooh.
But it's music and working you have to find the balance though, because some people are good at working in silence.
Yeah, I can't do that. I listen to like chill music, sometimes like up-tempo stuff, but it kind of depends. But yeah, I have like a chill playlist.
Is it so like I don't find anything wrong with like finding a good Spotify playlist and then like riffing on it.
Yeah,
right?
that's a good idea.
Because we are designers and we like look for inspiration everywhere, and so we could find like a good playlist, and then
like alter it to our own taste.
Yeah, just alter it. Why not?
Yay! Thanks, okay. Tim, for sharing the link to Julian's Spotify.
Oh, I didn't have to do that. Thank you. Tim has just been like such a
Tim's the best.
Yeah, just such a good support system here.
And then Sam shared the link for his space station. I'm gonna check it out after this.
He did.
Planetariumofyou.space.
Okay. You could look at it now, but I highly recommend after.
I'm gonna look at it after because I want to focus on it.
Yeah, you do need to focus on it. Yeah, it was really cool. He went in. He definitely went in on it. Okay, all right. So I'm at a decent place. There was like some responsive resize moment here, like how that is kind of like, and how do you fix that? Although I do want the shape to kind of look more like that, so it probably wouldn't be that bad to just like ignore it right now. But yeah, we'll get into more like responsive resize in a minute when I scale down to mobile. But yeah, that's something that we don't have to worry about yet.
Also, in 40 minutes, we're going to be looking at your portfolios on Behance. So if you have some UI UX design projects, please share that with us. There's a portfolio review submissions form on Behance right above the chat, and you can share your link to your Behance portfolio, and we are going to be choosing 2 and giving you some live feedback, and I'm really excited.
Okay, so these things are coming along.
Sam was dressed as an astronaut. Wait, I think maybe you did tell me. I don't know.
I have.
That sounds familiar.
I have like so many pictures of Sam because we had so many classes together when we were at school together, and he's just a very photogenic guy. Right, Sam? I feel like he's here.
I don't know. Sam, are you outside of the door?
Might as well just join us. Okay. So these are like abstractions of my 3 features,
Nice.
and we're gonna be kind of adding some gradients to them. But like I don't want to bother them, so I'm gonna make a duplicate because I might. I have like 2 concepts here, right? So I might like modify them to the concept. That way, it kind of just makes it more cohesive. So let's do some more of that. Let me just take a break from this, and I showed my my favorite inspiration place yesterday. So aside from the these are some like inspirations for splash pages. Like I think I like this like no scroll
Yeah.
type of environment. And this is like a more scrollable environment, which is I think very beautiful too. They have this like subtle gradient, and except they have some weird icons down there. But and then like using something that's more like illustrative and sketchy. So I'm kind of going between this and the previous one. And then a place like Stark, who does a good job at just making things really clear.
Yeah.
But I'm kind of, and then this is like a splash page that I designed for a project at school, but it was just like, capturing the college environment, because this was a product for college kids.
Oh, nice.
Not kids, because I went to college and I'm not a kid. It was a way to help some people that maybe struggle with like prioritizing their days. But so I wanted to bring in that like element of like real life, right? It's about,
like very relatable.
It's very relatable.
Yeah.
And then I found this one, which is like really cool, but it's a little too flashy.
very bright.
But it's very bright. It's
Yeah.
very, but it does something to you when you see it. It's like, ooh, it's cool. But then I'd like to go to Design Inspiration. Design Inspiration is the other one I showed you, and the reason why we showed it is because it has this really cool color.
Oh yeah, and then we figured out
How to do it.
Yeah.
There's no. So this is also like a UX moment too, right? When you're thinking about like there is a cursor, so it does tell you something is going on, but like what would be your first inkling of how to find a color?
Yeah.
I would just think you
search
for the color, like it kind of says, but you actually just tap, right? So you can select up to 5 colors, and then you can search. So I got one result for that mixture, but then you could just update it, right? And then once you set your colors, then it kind of like brings in that specific color, and you have like a bunch of new things that you didn't have before.
Yeah.
So like I like to do that because searching for colors is a really cool way to engage with a new like look. All right, so now we're moving on to like add some color, and for this concept, I have a color palette. And I'm going to like kind of work around it. So I'll add these to a new tile. So I recommend, even if it's just for yourself, like you're not collaborating, just make your own design system. It's just gonna help you like keep track of just like where your work is and what your styles are. You don't have to like componentize everything because you're not really like reusing them that much, unless you're doing like a multiple page experience. But it's just a fun way to just keep track of where you are. So I want to let me just move this color.
Tim says that you can type colors in there.
You can. Oh well, I tried yesterday and it didn't work for me.
Yeah.
But maybe my computer is a 2014 model and it doesn't do what I should do.
Is it 2014?
Yeah, I'm rocking an older computer.
Nice. I think mine is like 2016.
Yeah.
It's a MacBook that just got discontinued.
Did it?
Yeah.
Well, the keys are so loud on those when you type. My wife has the same one, and it's just like hammer hands. Like why are you so loud? Just trying to, I can hear through my headphones.
Oh wow.
All right, so I'm gonna grab a color that I'm working with here, and let me just add let's add a gradient to it, and do some gradients here, like linear. And so you can.
Oh, Tim says as long as you don't have the palette open, and maybe it sounds like a bug that it's not letting you search by.
Yeah, that does sound buggish. I was thinking of like adding a texture to it, but let's just go and do just a simple gradient right now. It's gonna add. This is just adding like a little bit of dimension to the design, and it could be like a similar color, not exactly the same color. Now I can change these to white if I want to, and I can even maybe just add a gradient to those two, or maybe radial, and no, that's weird. But yeah, that looks kind of cool, right? Like it has some like dimensionality to it. Take it down a notch or something. And again, like we don't want to overthink a lot of it. It's just like kind of like, let's just make it and see what it does, because it doesn't need to be permanent, right? Just the same kind of idea. Add some add some like, you know, some sort of like pop and texture to it. We can change the colors, because I think that's a little dark. Let's back out of that. Oh, just add more. Let's see. Let me change that. Yeah. You don't need to be so dark. All right. And then you can repeat this into this one. And then I could take that same style, right, and I could apply it to these by Option Command Paste.
Nice.
So that way you're
or
saving
paste
some time.
as appearance.
Or, right,
Yeah.
that's the
what
technical name.
Technical name if you're looking for it on XD.
Paste by appearance,
Yeah.
yes. And so these, I need to highlight these, because this is the moment that's important, because what we're doing here is we're making these areas of your web page that we want you to annotate. This is like the main moment for me. So I could leave that, and I could just make this like so what I'm doing is the color mapping is green for landmarks. But yeah, let's see. And then for these are going to be blue outlines. But that's kind of hard to see. So let's do white. Maybe white will work. Oh, let's fill. Let's do white. And then change these to white. And then move these. Yeah, looks fine. Let's see. Show it blue. All right, cool. Got something. Maybe you can make this thicker. And then you can add a little texture to these as well. Oh, wait.
Oh, we can't add gradients to borders.
Not to borders. Not yet. One day.
One day.
One day.
I can't
You
wait
can
for
dream.
that.
And then,
that day.
And then these are going to be, I could do radial since they are more oval, but I kind of like the way that this oval looked, like kind of sunsetting on it. So I could just take that same look and paste it to all three of these. Nice. Maybe these are going to be a different color though, so let's change the color on that. What color do I want to make that? Blue? So that looks fun.
Yeah. Lots of gradients.
Yeah. You know, like I was saying yesterday, like I don't typically use a lot of gradients, but they do have a lot of personality that you can't deny. Yeah. They do effectively just change up the way you're working. There's the way things are looking. But so like this is, I also want gradients on this. There's also like, looks like a weird kind of edge there. So like I can just put that up. Layers, actually. One day I'll understand how to is there a border? It's weird. You see that?
That white line?
Yeah.
Yeah. Is it from the gradient?
I think there's... Yeah, you know what? It'll be really insignificant. But let's like not get lost in the weeds there. Because you can easily do that. But yeah, these are coming along though.
Yeah.
We could just change the direction of this one. That way it adds more dimension into like...
Ooh. Tim's asking, how did you come up with those colors?
The landmark and these ones, I came up with them because like there's a convention of the way you annotate for accessible design, and a lot of it is like you outline in blue. for the tab order, but there's also these other landmark areas that you want to call out, and so I use green for that. And so blue is a really popular color to use for accessible design because it is inherently more visible, and so there's a lot of times that green is actually probably not the best color to use. So it's just a choice of like kind of like starting, like it was a metaphor of like what you start, and green being like go. So that's kind of like the reason why I chose green and blue. But other than that, like nothing too like profound, because I'm again like my idea of like color, like I kind of sometimes struggle with choosing the right colors. So it was just like it kind of happened, and I just didn't question it. But yeah, it's a really good question, because sometimes choosing the colors is it could be really difficult to do.
Yeah.
So yeah, so like that like has some dimension to it, right? This lost its round edge because I copied it. Oh, cool. Oh.
Oh.
Option? No. Which one is it? Is it shift? Do you remember?
Oh, it's option, and you click on it, and then option, and then it should move only one corner. Is that not working?
Let's see. Option. Yes, there you go. Holding option will allow you to manipulate one corner. We know that. For some reason, my brain wasn't working. Okay, so like that could work, right?
Yeah.
And so I would just kind of like, I'm not gonna maybe like make you wait for this whole thing, but let me just apply this into my design and see what it looks like.
Cool.
So something like that doesn't look too bad. Looks pretty cool.
It looks cool.
Yeah. So I'm gonna I'm not gonna like I mean, if you want to see it, but it's gonna be this pretty redundant. But it's basically like redesigning, designing this same type of look, applying it to all three of those. I could do it real quick because I could borrow some of these elements, so that could work. So let's do that really quick. But what do you guys think about that?
I think it looks cool. I haven't really seen anything like that before, so it's like different but cool.
Yeah, it's like it's fun because like you made it, and I could probably refine it more and you know do it a little bit better. But it's like the overall idea is creating landmarks and tab orders, and that is kind of illustrating that in this section. And then doing the same thing for ARIA role labeling for assistive technology. And if you aren't familiar with what assistive technology is, I advise looking into it because it's really cool. We think of screen readers being like the main one that is like an iPhone or a Mac, but there's JAWS for computers where you can then kind of surface some of the information on the screen. But I think the easiest one to understand is like a tab, like the tab key. Like what happens if your mouse breaks? What happens if you break your arm?
Yeah.
Like how do you use your computer? So sometimes you have to tab through things.
Yeah.
And so assistive technology does something special with the data because it attaches itself to HTML, and it allows the assistive technology to understand what something is on screen, and it translates it into a language that the person that is using that assistive technology can understand. So it's like, if you think about a picture and an image, like there's a description to that image. We know what it is, but someone might want to know.
Yeah.
And so you can do alt tags, but you can also do ARIA labels and ARIA descriptions, which are a little bit more specific to assistive technology.
Nice.
So if you are interested in learning more about accessibility like tooling, it's a very it's not a new thing. It's been around for a while, but I think now design is catching up to the design tools are catching up to like the need.
Yeah.
I think so. My metaphor for why digital accessibility is so important is because if you think about the built world, we live in this world, and we had to make it accessible for people that had disabilities, right? And it's like the curbs are cut, right? And the bumps on each corner are there for a reason, for walking sticks, to be able to recognize that you're at a corner so you don't walk into a street. These are all implementations that are based on regulations for accessible, like just mobility. But if you think about digital spaces, it's a world in itself, and we also need to consider how people use that world.
Exactly.
Because if not, we're probably in that world more, right? It's kind of weird, but it's
true.
It's kind of true, right? And so, like, it's something that that legislation is going to get more strict on. There's going to be a more need for accessible systems. So you just kind of might as well get ahead of the curve, right? And just build them now. So I'm going to translate these to a different style, and I will kind of copy this and do it here. And so I like I said, I advise doing something like this for your workflow. We all have a different way of working, but like for me, I kind of just like sometimes to look at a file like, what was I doing? Like I don't remember. And so it's a good way to ground you if you share it with yourself later, or if you're collaborating, just creating good habits. The other thing is we'll get into is layers, and how important it is to think about like when you're like kind of wrapping up a file, and you're maybe handing it off to a developer, or you're exporting assets for yourself, right? Because a good thing about XD is that you can export these to a file type that is like a PNG or SVG or JPEG, whatever it might be. But you can export your assets, and they're going to export at the name by default of your group, right? And so if we're not being more diligent about organizing our groups, naming them, and maybe if you're not using components, that's okay. But then you're able to get those names and actually have like a file that's a lot more structured. So for me, whenever I do any sort of like animations that are maybe outside of XD, you're able to take those layers and those assets and you can do so much with them. And even if it's like maybe one thing is animating or something, other things need to be static, you can group those together. And I know it's talking a little abstractly of like how to animate, but it's all about managing your assets. So understanding those is a really good thing to do. So yeah, this is like a simple animation that I thought was kind of cool. And it's basically like using like this is like a when you get there a loading page that quickly just kind of like does something like that. And if you haven't played with like layer masking, like this is just like a simple really cool way to play around with like you could do something like that, right? And then
that looks really cool.
See how that animates. Right, so you can do cool stuff like that pretty simply, but just by getting a path and a shape and just masking them.
That's so cool.
So definitely play with the auto animate, and I will animate this in a second. I'm just going to translate this design into this feel. So let's do that real quick.
Lindsay is saying, as a member of the invisible disability community, I really appreciate that you're considering accessibility in general, let alone creating this particular project. Yay.
That warms my heart, because like this is I'm getting choked up. This is important.
Yeah, and it really is.
And I'm happy to be doing it, and it's bringing a lot of purpose into like the way I design.
Yeah, I'm really glad you're doing it too, because you're teaching me a lot. I didn't know like too much about accessibility, but I've learned so much from you already. And
well, thank you.
Yeah.
And I'm still learning myself. Like as much as I have been like a student of it myself, but like there's so much to learn. I'm
I definitely want to learn a lot more.
There's so much to learn. So this one is going to be interesting. So I'm just going to do an outline because I want to keep this like outline look, but I don't want it to like cut across everything.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to do another shape on top of this.
Damien's asking, do you try to name layers from the start properly, or do you sort it out before going in depth into prototyping?
I try to wrap them up more or less when I'm more finishing up the file. Yeah, towards the end. If you do it early, it's just kind of like you might delete it or it might change it. And it won't really translate well. But in general, like you could essentially like create components early and name those, and then you can create children of those, and they borrow the same name roughly. That's a good way to also incorporate it into the way you design.
Yeah.
But then I say just save it for the end, because when it's time to prototype, that's the other thing about like auto animate in XD, right? Your layer names have to be the same.
Yeah,
they do matter. So thinking about that too is like you don't normally auto animate like while you're in like wireframe mode.
Yeah,
but
you do it
maybe
like at the end.
You do it at the end. So yeah, I do it typically at the end, and that's when I also will show you like how to think about like making a flow that is for screen reading. It would be set at the end typically too, because your design might change while you're designing, and you don't need to like wire up all the those interactions before the design is done. That makes sense, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you for the questions.
Yeah. Jaideep has a question. How good is it to experiment with designs if the user is not familiar with it? So maybe like a different, like something that's not very common, I guess.
That's a really good question, because like I don't even know how to begin to. I don't know. I think you experiment. You don't know what other people are expecting, but you can get feedback and you know, try to like understand. If you're trying to design for an environment that you're completely unfamiliar with, you have to get familiar with it. Like the way that this plugin is working is there's an idea of like you're designing for accessibility or you're designing with accessibility. Because if you're just designing for it, you're not actually speaking to the people that have that disability. So in order to like understand what you're designing, you kind of have to immerse yourself. That's why like research is such a key part to
it really is
to the process.
Yeah.
Like you don't go into a problem without understanding it and it's like nitty gritty depth, and you know you have to get in touch with like the actual problem.
Exactly.
Because it might not be a problem.
Yeah.
Right.
And you need to speak to who is going to be using your product, and you can learn so much from just talking to people and understanding what their needs are, and you can. Yeah.
But that's a great question, because it like you have to question these things, and it really is about your intention. So if you're unfamiliar with the space, definitely do your research. I love people are still dropping like different like books and stuff to get to read.
Yeah.
There's also like advanced animations in like After Effects that Julia and Tim are chatting about. I think when you prototype for the situation. And if you're just communicating it to stakeholders or your design team, using XD is great for it, because you can communicate some of your expectations of animations and interactions. But when you're like in a phase of like, it's great because you can test with it, right?
Yeah.
Remote testing, tap throughs, you can have those hotspots come into play. But like the great thing about After Effects is it's like a very polished version of your animation. Yeah. The downside is it's not tappable, right? And it's like if you need to update it, there's a little bit more to it. Yeah. So usually you use After Effects towards the end of like handing off to developers, like this is the way that this should act. So like use this timing as close to it as possible. Sometimes they'll just chop those up and use GIFs, which is fine if they don't have the budget to actually build in like the code. But Yeah, it's definitely like a delicate situation of like choosing the prototyping tool, because you can easily get too high fidelity. I lost my mountains.
Oh.
I don't know where they went.
Can you copy and paste them from the other one?
Yeah, I'll just do that. They just like disappeared on me. I was like, I don't want to. I'm sure
Who knows where they went?
I'm sure they're somewhere. Where am I? Okay. I'm like feel honored that Howard Pinsky's watching though. Just
Yeah.
he's
Howard's the best.
Yeah, he's been definitely like someone that I've learned so much from.
Same with me. I learned a lot of XD stuff from watching Howard's tutorials.
Yeah, I was talking to Sam about that the other day, and he's like, "Yeah, like I just like ran into Howard Pinsky. He's like, like I learned Photoshop from watching his videos." I'm like, "Yeah, it's like same
That's
here,
so cool.
you know."
Yeah.
All right, so now.
Oh, there's Howard does the little side eye.
Yeah, the stuff the animations that you could do, like I kind of like was awoken by some of those, by watching some of those videos. So thank you, Howard, for making.
Thank you,
the
Howard.
videos. Let's see.
Howard says, "Glad I've been able to help Julian."
Oh,
Yeah.
thank you. Yeah, it has been a great help. All right, so I'm gonna do this in all white. Let's change that. Solid color. This I'm going to keep. These I will change to gray and white. I hope I'm not boring everybody with the nitty-gritty details of designing this.
You're not.
Okay. I kind of want to keep the gradient, so let's just keep it and see.
Yeah.
That could work for this design, and this design is kind of like borrowing from the simplicity of like keeping things bound into one space, right? Because it could get too long, and that sometimes it's fun to like not have like something beyond a fold, like the example we showed.
The yellow page, the brewery one.
The brewery.
Yeah.
Brewery. And then let's see how this, like, I want to make this small. It's too it is kind of already too big. So if I change it, it does some weird stuff. So we could fix that, right? We can fix that with responsive resize.
Yeah.
So let's do that real quick, because that is one of the topics we're discussing, and so we can kind of know what's going wrong, but there's a lot to consider. So we want to get to a size that's more appropriate, and let's see. So let's wire things up. So I want this group.
So in about 10 minutes, we're going to be looking at your portfolios from Behance. So if you haven't submitted your portfolios, you can do that on the portfolio review. I think it's portfolio review or portfolio submission tab above the chat on Behance. And we're going to be choosing 2 and giving some feedback.
Cool.
And checking them out. So yeah, I'm really excited to see all your portfolios. I love doing portfolio reviews. People are so talented, and yes.
Okay, so instead of doing that, I do we can make that smaller. But I think another objective was to make this responsive, right?
Yeah.
And so instead of making this one responsive, let's tackle this one. I feel like this one's a little bit more finished, anyways. So we all know that this could be kind of tedious to get responsive resize to keep that same structure. And I'll totally go in and do it later, but I think there's bigger fish to fry, and we want to tackle making a responsive design here. And this was an exploration that I could just delete. So yeah, I typically don't ever delete my explorations, but sometimes you can.
Yeah, if there's like 2 things on the artboard, you
fine.
can just delete it.
All right, and you always want to copy your artboard just in case you do something crazy.
Yeah.
And I could even make like these circles instead, but like I'm not going to play with it too much. But like you can always go in and tweak things.
Yeah.
So this is going to be scaled to an iPad, and let's see, what is the iPad size I want to do? Let's see. Something a little bit more drastic, so like not quite 12.9, but maybe 11.
Yeah.
So and we know that this is probably the portrait landscape mode or portrait mode, and that's for me probably what I would want to design for, because if you design for it on the horizontal, you're kind of not doing
That
much different.
Yeah, I agree.
So let's scale this down. So that is I don't memorize sizes because now I have them here. Like I don't need to memorize some things. I do remember when you had to do all the math in order to get things responsive. You had to like.
Oh.
You don't remember doing that? Like.
Not for responsive, but
Well,
I've done some math in XD.
Yeah, like now that with responsive resize, you don't have to do as much math. But before, like in Illustrator, you're doing like math on like how big is this canvas and like the width of the. You have to subtract the width of your padding and just like.
Wow.
Now, you could just take that, and I need to get it to A34. So then let's see how it responds. It's not doing anything. There's no response. Non-responsive.
Yeah.
Perfect. So that means I have some work to do, right? So we know that this is probably okay. So it's centered. It's left aligned and pinned to the top. This button should be doing something okay. Let's see. Let's take the items from the artboard.
Oh, you might have to turn on. Click on the artboard and turn.
Off?
Yeah.
Look at that. You know,
Let's try it again.
By default, it's usually on, so I don't know why it turned off. So let's go and see. Look at that.
Oh.
Okay. So there's a few things that are not doing what we need it to do, but that's okay. Those are easy to fix. It's just one, and it's this one. Oh, because these are
grouped.
These are grouped,
Yeah.
which is good. A lot of times to just kind of like help you is just grouping things. Yeah. Okay. So if we group these together, we know that is something. And let's make sure it's centered. No, it was off a little bit. All my pixel perfect designers out there, we got to make sure you're happy. So the idea of this responsive resize, it gets you what, like 80% there, which is a good thing, but sometimes you need to go in and modify some things
Yeah, there's
yourself.
still some tweaking you need to do.
But in general, like, it's not too bad.
Yeah.
It's there's definitely some, like, I used this size on this font was 120. So if you think about like scaling that down to iPad, like there's definitely like a difference you need to do. And I usually do like a percentage.
Oh, okay.
So I usually scale things down. I try 10% first to see. So then for me, like there's math involved. Right? Divided by, oh my gosh, now see I'm on camera.
10?
I'm
Wait, is that? No,
no.
I don't know. Wait,
Oh my gosh.
times 0.10.
0.10. Yeah. See when you start
When you're
having
live,
a designer do math. Is that right?
I think you forgot the point in front of the
Wait,
10.
what was my formula? All right, I'm not
Wait,
doing
maybe, does anyone know 10%?
10%. Oh my gosh.
It's 12. Wait.
This is what
it
happens
12?
with math.
No, yeah, it's 12.
It is 12. Okay. 12%. Oh my god.
So, 118.
So 118.
Wait, no, 108.
108. There you go. Don't let designers do math. That's not true. I'm sure there's really great mathematicians out there that are designers. But that didn't work, so let's go down a little bit more. It's still too big. And then we have spacing issues, obviously, so let's get that down. So also like if you think about like the paragraph spacing, whatever your font size is, you want to take this like to usually like at least 10. The spacing is 10 above your font size. So 98 is a good. Should be okay.
That's good.
And that's like a good basis to start when you think about spacing based on font size.
Yeah.
But you can also just like break that rule, and if it's
Like,
you go a little lower. Like this, probably like 93 is good. So we're almost there with this, and maybe the padding that you use on your iPad is going to be a little less like that. Yeah. He noticed it before I noticed it. So yeah, going off of your padding, I had designated in my first example that I used a group here that was 100 points on the padding, but I don't think I want to be that.
Yeah.
No, that's too much. That's too much for iPad. So I could take that down a bit. Probably down to 60. I do like padding. If there's anything that I'm like that really gets me is like when you have a design that is just like on the edge. It just does not sit well when you have it like all the way. And it's like I kind of want to read it, but I can't.
Have you seen there's like a new phone or something where the design like bleeds around the phone? Like, does anyone know what I'm talking about?
Well, those
it's
the,
like
the curved phones.
I think so, but it like the design like goes around. It's kind of hard to explain. I don't know what it's called, but I remember seeing something about it on Twitter.
Well, yeah, now they have
it's
those
like hard to read or use because it's like the button or icon is like on the curve.
Now you have like folding phones.
Yeah, those are weird.
It's we're in the future. Like curved, like being able to bend your screen is
That's weird.
It's weird, but I think it, like all things, it will cease to be weird.
Yeah.
Because
In like 5 years or something. It's so crazy to think about like what technology is going to be like.
I feel like humans are already weird, and technology is making us more weird.
Yeah.
It hopefully will like soften soon, but nah, I don't think so. But it's good. Embrace your inner weirdness.
Yes, I agree.
Yeah, so that's looking good. And yeah, like padding is something that you want to always address. And the other thing is like stacking order is something that I would love about like a responsive design, that like you're, instead of going horizontal,
like,
you can vertical.
Yeah.
And I do think that like with the repeat grid, you can kind of make some of those like happen. But these are different elements. Like if they are the same element, but ideally they'd be different, so you don't want to really do that.
Yeah.
So what we're gonna do is just kind of like, I'm gonna look at my layers panel.
Tim just quoted you. Humans are weird. Julian Crespo, 2019. Yes.
Yes.
What a great quote.
I agree. I stand by that, that quote. Who disagrees?
Less than a minute until portfolio review time.
Cool.
Yay.
And then I will be able to have an iPad in that short time after.
Yeah.
And then maybe play with like a quick animation.
Yeah.
Yeah? Okay, cool.
I'm excited.
But I can't wait for portfolio review.
Me
That's
too.
like my favorite part.
Same. It's so fun.
So like this is something like sometimes for like this is very, very confusing because I don't have any layer names.
Yeah.
So I'm just gonna call this 3.
Is that less confusing for you?
It's definitely, this is 1, and then this is 2. 2. Okay, and now I know what I'm doing.
Nice.
Okay, there it is. See?
Ooh, okay, it's time for portfolio reviews. The
Okay.
countdown is done. So we are actually going to go into space and visit Sam. in outer space. And then when we come back, we're
Yeah.
going to have 2 portfolios ready to give feedback on. So stick around. We'll be right back. We're back.
Oh, it's foggy.
Yes. So we took a very, very quick trip into outer space.
Yes.
We said hi to Sam.
We made it.
We made it back to San Francisco in one piece.
Yeah.
And we can now breathe the air. And we grabbed 2 portfolios on the way. And now we're going to review them. So I'm really excited.
It's harder for me to take it off.
Really?
So I'm just going to keep it on.
Okay. I'm going to take it off.
Yeah, feel free.
Just because. And
I think my head is slightly bigger than so universal design, right?
Yeah.
NASA is like everything's accessible there, so they're
Yeah.
actually an inspiration for me because
Nice.
that's where technology comes from, right?
Yeah. Super cool. Yay. All right, let's dive into our first portfolio. This is from Mashail from Pakistan. Yay. Thank you so much for submitting your portfolio. I really like your icon, or like your avatar is really cute.
Guys, what did I miss, Larry? We went to space.
Yeah. And yay, let's dive in.
These look great. Like just
Yeah.
the tiles.
This is really cool.
Which one are you gonna pick?
I don't know, is there one that you are drawn to right off the bat?
I'm drawn to. I love the radio.
Me too.
Let's do that.
That's what I was like looking
That's the
at.
creative challenge. I
Yeah.
loved that challenge.
Ooh. Nice. So this was the XD Daily Creative Challenge.
Yeah, and do we know is she here?
Oh yeah, they're here.
There.
Yay!
Curious to know, like, what did you use to present your mock-ups?
Yeah, that looks really cool.
Yeah, I love the way that these context, specific chromes that you
Yeah.
can use. There's a lot of great templates on Behance. So if you are looking for mock-up material, chromes, whether it's laptops or phones, like search Behance. They got some good
Yeah.
ones for you, and they're a lot of times free.
Exactly.
What's the other one, Sam? That I can't remember. I'll find it.
Cool. We have Drake.
That looks really
looks
good.
really
The
cool.
presentation's
Yeah.
great. I know, like Drake, Drake featuring Drake. That's cool.
Yeah.
I like the simplicity of it. Still kind of looking to see when you get into the moment of playing. Yeah, and the design is very like elegant and clean. Pay attention to the little details. So if you go up a little bit on that one, yeah. So like the padding is a little far right, and I think it's just because like the way that you put your design sometimes into these mock-ups,
Yeah.
it could get a little
Tough,
tricky.
yeah.
That's why I like using a plugin like Angle.
Yeah.
Right.
Sam just mentioned Angle.
Angle's the good one. Rotato that Tim uses, but there's also the one that's on the web that we like that sometimes we use, and I'm drawing a blank on the name, but I think I have a bookmark for it.
Well, there's a video here. Let's play
Let's
it
play the video.
really fast. Ooh, really cool. Auto animate. Oh. Nice. Cool. So you can like add different radio stations to this app. That's awesome.
I can't remember.
I think like one like piece of advice I have or a suggestion is this background image. It's really cool, but it's kind of drawing away from the images of the artists that you have.
Yeah, I get the intention too. I think maybe putting that on your initial splash page, because I really like that idea of that imagery. Like I love it where it says welcome. The way it's treated
really
there.
Cool.
It's just when you start stacking images on top of images, sometimes it gets a little hard to know where to focus.
Yeah.
But it's great.
Yeah, this is cool. Nice. Let's see. Let's look at another one. Maybe we can look at this one. I like the blue color. It's kind of standing out.
Yes. That one caught my attention too.
Yeah.
And this was also another creative challenge.
Yeah.
That I didn't get to see many of these, so this is going to be really cool to see how you riffed on this.
So this was design the quiz section for a flashcard app. Nice. You do a really good job of presenting your designs, and I really love all these mock-ups. Cool.
Yeah, let's
watch the video.
Let's watch the video. Thank you for providing this, by the way.
Oh.
Okay, got the animations going. Look at that.
Oh, I like this like progress bar at the bottom.
Well, that was one of the elements, right? That Sam wanted to challenge people is to like know where you are in your experience by having a timeline. That's really good.
Nice.
Done well too. That little speech bubble that popped above that. It really works.
Yeah.
And the colors, this is a really beautiful blue. I love, again, blues because it's a very accessible color. And, it's not too on that Facebook blue. It's definitely a little different. It's got more depth to it.
Yeah.
But yeah, really great job.
Yeah.
Can we go back to the screens? I love the way you presented your mock. I think you do a great job at presenting these mock-ups. They look polished. It conveys what's going on. They are very similar in the ones you chose. So sometimes choosing some with different variants, shows some more of your variety of the screens that you design. And it is more of a Behance blue. You're right.
Yeah.
that is kind of like on that brand. Where else I think whenever you present a animation, it also shows like other potential areas to pay attention to. So there's just some timing things where you can kind of see things fade. It breaks that illusion of reality, And so that's something that you could also like finesse a little bit. But your treatment for button styles is like, using round buttons is I think it is a good way to keep going, but it might benefit from variance on that too when you have like just a stack of buttons. They have a similar look as the button in the previous screen, but maybe making those a little bit different. Maybe they're links, maybe they're tiles. They could be.
Oh yeah, like square, like 9, the 9 grid. I don't know.
Right, they could be grid. They could be a grid of squares.
Yeah, or something.
You could change it up. It could be circles, or just links. But you can also pair them with like the country. The flag, possibly.
That would be a good idea.
Add some more color into it and some more identity there.
Yeah.
Flags are beautiful, and I think anytime you can try to use them.
Yeah. Illusion of reality, another quote by Julian Crespo.
Yes, because this is a simulation.
Yeah. What?
Oh no!
Oh my God.
Don't look up simulation hypothesis. Oh, I gotta take this off.
Okay, well, awesome job.
It's getting hot in space.
Thank you, Michelle, for submitting. You have awesome projects. Let's look at our next portfolio. This is from Samuel Ballard. And I recognize your name from Discord. I think I've seen some of your posts on there, so yay.
Paco's laughing at me.
Oh.
I was wearing the helmet.
Oh.
Did I?
Let's see, is there one that you want to look at first?
Yeah. I want to look at the third one in. Actually,
Wait, which
the one on
third
top.
one?
The third one on top. Yeah, that one. That one looks
This
cool.
one?
The bookworm, yeah. That looks great.
Ooh. This is awesome.
And see, like this is where that background image actually does work because I think it's very subtle. And
Yeah.
you didn't even add an opacity to it.
Yeah.
I like the treatment of your very, very like simple logo, but it's changing it up. So I definitely like appreciate this. It does look very on the convention. You didn't use that. What I appreciate is that you didn't use that like big font that like Books is using, the Books app, like the Apple pattern that they've done is like if you go to like you know that the big chunky
Can't
SF.
remember, but
Yeah, they're using it across their system now. Like a big title, like Apple
Weird.
News uses it.
Oh, okay. I think I know what you're talking about.
But the favorites is good. I would.
Yeah.
I want to see more. Yeah, this looks great.
See. Ooh, nice. And there's a video.
That's so cool. Thank you for the video.
Ooh,
That
nice.
changing size. Oh, the auto animate there. Like it.
Cool.
Good text field.
And you can search. Oh,
That's great.
this is really cool.
This is something that like I wish like other companies had more like I think like more bravery to enter the book space because you know like we have the one
Yeah.
monopoly that's dominating because like why like the idea of books being like shared, like I want to see like how you would incorporate, like how would you share a digital book with me, you know, like
Yeah,
how
that'd
does
be
that work?
interesting.
Because like I love like being able to share physical books with friends and then like knowing that like it was read and
Yeah.
like they held it.
Yeah.
Whereas like you kind of lose that with digital, and you can't really share the digital as much because the tangibility of it is different.
Yeah.
But like, what if I were to share a digital book with you that like maybe I couldn't open that file for like a week, and you could open it for
yeah.
that time,
Yeah.
and then you can give it back to me. That'd be kind
And
of
then
cool, right?
maybe like how you're mentioning with the progress, like you can see how far I am in the book or
Oh,
something,
yeah.
and be like, hey, did you get to this part?
Yeah,
And-
you get a notification like
Yeah,
like
that'd be really
encouraging you
cool.
to. Well, like you know, book clubs and like being able to like discuss a book
Yeah.
is something that like you can also do in an environment like that. Is like have like a little online meeting of people that have read the same book as you. I think there's a lot
cool.
of areas that the book space could change in this digital environment.
Yeah.
It
totally
seems like
agree.
it's been kind of static for a while.
Yeah.
So like that's a great.
Yeah, this is really awesome.
It's a great challenge to just like also just rethink like the way that we take in
Yeah.
books.
Totally agree.
What book have you read lately that?
Oh, I'm reading this book called Strategic Writing for UX.
Oh,
and
okay.
it's-
So you did
yeah.
very very like practical reading.
Yeah, but before that, I read The Alchemist.
Oh yeah.
It was my first time reading it, but it was a really good book.
It's like like you can't put it down.
Yeah, yeah.
Like once you
I read it really fast.
once you read that book,
Yeah.
you're just like in it, and like because the story is like it's very vivid.
It is, yeah.
And alchemy in itself is just like what I think like what we try to do with our design is
Yeah.
like we try to turn our design into gold.
Yeah. Exactly. Yay. Let's see. Maybe let's look at this one. It kind of reminds me of Spotify, and we kind of talked about. Unless
Yeah.
there's another one.
No,
that
I
you
saw. I
want
was just reading some of these comments.
Oh.
That sometimes I just like, yeah,
to-
Elon
Okay, they're
Musk
talking
did talk
the
about simulation. Yeah, don't go too into it. It's not real.
Oh, Howard loves the simulation
does.
hypothesis. I don't know. Well, I know a little bit about it, but I don't know like what the
Yeah.
hypothesis
Well, it's like the
is.
Matrix.
Okay,
It's basically like we are living in the Matrix, but that's a whole other thing.
I'll look into it.
Let's look. Let's look
Yeah,
at.
let's
Let's look at this. This looks like it looks like Spotify. Definitely has like a different color going on. What other? Let me see some other screens to get a
I think
sense.
this is the only
Okay,
screen.
cool. Even if it's just one screen, like it's still stepping into like a new space, and I think like visually, like we understand what it is right away.
Yeah.
And you brought some new ideas of how to get their music by like that on their banner, like being able to scroll through albums in this way.
Yeah, I like that.
Right, it works well. The button, and like I'm just interested to see like does the buttons, is this the brand color? I think it is yellow or like a mustard. Might be hard for legibility in some cases, so maybe like you could have added like a gradient to the bottom, just a subtle differential between separation between the image and objects. Very, very interested to see like what you would think of if like you were to bring in other imagery. Would you change the typeface depending on like the band? Yeah, but like I love this like this little skewed logo that you designed.
Yeah, it's cool.
The crank, yeah, and like Julia, I agree with the color scheme. I also think that dark UI is like, it obviously is like a very trendy way to design, and I actually don't use dark UI at all.
Oh, really?
And it's nothing. I think I haven't updated my Mac.
Oh, I don't use it on my Mac.
But like I appreciate like my Spotify app is dark UI because that's the only one they have.
Yeah.
And it looks really good.
Yeah.
And I think you did a great job at tackling that. Yeah.
I think my one suggestion is like the all caps here. Since it's really small, it can be a little bit hard to read.
Right.
So maybe
It's a good catch.
Space it out a little more, or maybe try a different font that is more readable and like all caps and a smaller size.
Yeah, and I'm also like now noticing these albums on the right-hand side. Not 100% sure how those are
Maybe it's like related.
related. Yeah, I think adding like
but
a
maybe
quick
a title
title
that says like check these out, or you might like this. Or
yeah,
something.
because it is kind of hard to know like exactly what those are, and they could be like correlated to like what is in that list.
Yeah.
But yeah, all caps is usually like a little harder to read, so maybe just doing sentence case could work. But otherwise,
this is really good.
Really great, really
Awesome.
great stuff.
Great job. Yay, thank you so much for sharing your portfolios. These were amazing.
And and the sharp edges were fine. I think there are certain situations for them. It's okay.
Yeah.
Not everything has to be a round edge.
Yeah.
Like, it's completely fine.
Totally. Yay. Cool. So we have a couple minutes left. We
Yeah.
can switch back to you, Julia.
Let's do it. All right, so I'm making this responsive. Let me hide these because we don't want to make the same mistake as we did before. Oh, I did it again.
Oh yeah, hiding XD.
What's the shortcut? Oh my gosh.
Command, comma.
Command, comma. Yes.
Yay.
One day I will get my shortcuts down.
It's taken me a really long time. I still don't know all my shortcuts, but you'll get there. It's all practice. I kept practicing my shortcuts, and then I finally remembered most of them.
Okay, well, the height on the iPad is 1194. Okay, so we're gonna take that down to 1194. Okay, hustling here because I definitely want. And here's the thing: when you're doing scaling down, you have the ability to be more flexible with like your layout. So you don't have to stick to the same. I did like a center. I'm mixing it up. I'm going left align, center align, and that's okay. Like it depends on like how you're presenting your stuff. But I typically am like a left align person, but. And I'm not talking politically. That's just completely like it's center.
Just design.
Centering is something that like I tend to sometimes stray away from, but it's something where it does work in a lot of places. But yeah, so this one I might even like take it to the center, depending on how it looks, because I think these stacking are gonna be kind of heavy, and so then I might even think about changing these to like be on the side.
Oh.
So like they're not like something like that.
Oh yeah, that would look good.
Yeah, just to kind of like throw it off a little bit, so it's different. And I'm doing it kind of rushed, and usually I have like a better way to make sure that they stay cohesive, but right now it's not.
That's okay.
And you know how to get like if you're kind of just doing, I like to use my eyeballs a lot instead of using like the canned measurements of things, but like you can know like the spacing by holding, that control command and option to know the spacing between things. Like, so that gives you like your so you're staying like in the same. So I'm gonna go on 40, 49, 52. So go down. So I'm back to even. But yeah, that's something that I like to do, just to give myself a sense of my design.
Nice. Eric says that they are a left align type as well.
Oh yes.
Nice.
Let's like, it's hard. I actually like have to intentionally remind myself to switch it up a little bit because I always design left align, but like sometimes like it's not always the best, and that just got to be open minded.
Yeah.
And this isn't looking for me like the greatest, but I don't want to. And it's not a responsive resize problem. It's more of just like, is there another way I can configure this? But for now, I think it's okay. It's not my like best work in the world, but
that's okay.
Let's try to make it work.
You're getting it out there.
Getting out
you
there.
You can iterate on it
just
later
like,
if you want.
Just like your portfolios, right?
Yeah.
Like your portfolios, they grow and they get better over time. The more time you practice and spend with them, the more they will improve because of it. And it's the same. Like with this, like I'm gonna go, because this is something that I actually have to deliver for my plugin.
Oh, okay.
So I want to continue to push this because it's in. I have to.
Yeah.
Will I go with this one? I might not. Like I might go towards more something like this and follow some more of these patterns.
Yeah.
If you're like, and I would be happy to share my final design on Discord.
Yeah.
That way you can see how I've progressed and like how I've been able to push it. I also need to like actually have it coded. So if I don't do it myself, I'll do it with Webflow.
You should put it on Behance as well, so that we can all see it.
That's a good idea, and I can put some of my process there too.
Yeah.
Because it's an important thing. But we have barely any time left. I didn't get to do that animation, but let me see if I could do it really quickly.
Yeah.
So we want to make these little background guys blobs.
Yeah.
We want them to move. So if I kind of just silence this, and I know that that's where they lived, right? And those are just like pen tool creations. So then I can come in here and I could change the shape up a little bit, like that. A little bit globule. This guy. Yeah, sure. Why not? And it's just like creating like slight variations, right? And this one too. Go in here.
That looked like a little whale.
It did look like a little whale. I actually should have taken part in some of those creative challenges. Next time, Sam, I think you're gonna do them again. I will definitely contribute, because I also like, I've wanted to like, doing a music app, like I have never done it, and it was I remember that was a project that people did a lot at my school.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and I didn't actually do that one. I chose to do something different, but it is a really interesting space, because like if you think like there's only really two ones that people do, Apple Music or Spotify.
Yeah.
I know that I used to be a huge fan of Rdio, another one, and like even Napster's still around. And like whenever I was really apprehensive to starting my Spotify account because I just didn't know how to navigate it. Like I always felt like it was just kind of like clunky. But now that I've been using it, like I get it. It's still like a little weird sometimes.
Yeah.
But you know. It would be really cool to imagine how a music app would be.
Yeah, you should do one.
Yeah, I'm gonna do the creative challenges.
Yay!
Sam. That's how you started doing this, right?
Yeah. So I started doing the XD daily creative challenges, and then my Behance portfolio. I like posted on Behance, and then the Adobe Live team found my portfolio on Behance and then reached out to me. And that's how I started being on Adobe Live, which was crazy and so amazing. So you never know what can happen from the XD Daily Creative Challenges.
That's why you got to keep performing, keep doing it, because you made it happen, right?
Thanks.
You did.
Yay.
You did. You really did. And I'm happy to have met you.
Thanks. Yeah. I'm so happy to have met you too. Yay. So
are we friends then?
Yes, we are friends for sure. Yay. So we have about a minute left, so maybe we can quickly show your little animations. But thank you to everyone in the chat for joining us as always. We've loved having you here, and you guys have been so active in the chat, and it's been amazing. And everyone go check out Julian's website and Behance. Tim just posted the link to his portfolio, which is juliancrespo.com, or your handle, which was Hidden Jewels.
Hidden Jewels.
Yes.
It's not as beautiful, and I didn't get to spend too much time on it, but you can also time it and loop it, and you can kind of just keep on going. Mm-hmm. I wish I would have remembered to do this earlier, but
that's okay.
It's something that and I actually like it without the.
Yeah, I do too.
It kind of looks better
cool.
without the Gaussian blur.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's really kind of a very fun thing to just put color into it and make it move. You know?
Yeah, it looks really cool. Yeah. Yay, awesome. Well, thank you so much, Julian. Yes. I learned so much from you, and I'm sure everyone watching learned a ton from you as well.
Great.
And it's been amazing having you here. And everyone go follow Julian at Hidden Jewels.
Yes, everywhere and anywhere.
Everywhere, even Spotify. And yay, thank you, and we will see you all next time. Yeah. Bye, everyone.